Hi everyone. Alright, what am I looking at? Well, I'm going to let Michael Steinbacher explain this. I'm going to open this up. This is a video I saw, and this is where he really sees the scars. So I am going to let him talk throughout the entire video. And then I'm going to explain what I see too.
Hi, this is Michael Steinbacher with Electric Universe Geology Earth News. This is an area southwest of Kandahar. It was in the news a couple of years ago. Marines took geologists somewhere over here and they found an awful lot of rare earth elements, I believe trillions of dollars worth. So it caused me to look up the area just out of curiosity. This is supposedly a volcano about 2 miles across. It doesn't appear to be a volcano. The formations seem to be just normal mountains made out of welded tuff or produced by something using that process where wind blows material against the windward side of obstructions and they grow. Anyway, it's sort of gray over here and reddish over here. And when you zoom out, some interesting things happen. Eventually it becomes gray over here and red over here. It reverses itself from what's in the center. And it begins to remind me of a yin-yang, a Korean flag, with one side swirling in and the other side swirling in the other way. And then all of a sudden you start to notice roundish lobes of formations surrounding it. And these are mountains, and they're all black and gnarly looking. I've seen photographs here where they referred to the mountain as the terrible black. But you can see these patterns developing around the yin-yang. And I guess it could be a coincidence, but it kind of looks like the center of a hurricane. And if you look at it with terrain, you can start to see the mountains. So they surround it here, and then there's more mountains up here going to the east. These are the Himalayas coming out of this lobe, as I like to call it, of mountains. And you have Iran down here on the other side, almost like a mirror image, going up to the northwest. And it continues. So you have what looks like a mirror image to a degree, with mountains coming out of here, surrounding this, swinging down this way and actually up more. And then they come out of Iran, they come across Turkey, they go across the Black Sea, which has 50,000 feet of sediment in it, and the Eastern Mediterranean, which has 50,000 feet of sediment in it, as if these were great basins that were filled in and almost leveled off and maybe even started to grow, as this might have been happening. This comes over through Romania, Bulgaria, comes over Italy, and it kind of swings around in a real sharp hook. So this might be a process that happened within the memory of people. Because while this was happening, apparently, there were people down here in Egypt or Sinai seeing a pillar of fire, pillar of smoke to the east. And in India, I've asked some mythologists that with the group, did people see anything to the west that might have been similar to the pillar of fire, pillar of smoke? And one of them said that Indra was a man of fire and smoke that was seen to the west over the Himalayas. I think, well, gee, maybe somebody was watching this looking west and somebody's watching it looking east, seeing something over Afghanistan that's creating these mountains that are similar to the mountains that go up through Canada and down through Mexico that surround the lobe in the southwest U.S., which I spoke about in Albuquerque during my talk in March. That's the first video in this series. So, is this possible? There's some other coincidences. To the south of the Alps, which actually sort of the mountains hook here and then kind of continue down through Spain, come over. There's a hook this way. There's mountains that seem to come over this way. But there's a big desert here, burnt sand, lots of basalt, lots of burning areas. And to the north of the Himalayas, we have Mongolia and the Gobi Desert. This area is interesting. It's the Tibet Plateau. And there's mountains, but the mountains are sticking up through 15 to 16,000 feet of sediment. That's how high the sediments are that surround the mountains here. As if there was a great flood that swept into the Tibet Plateau, and it seems to have emptied here. This seems to have been the drainage point where you have drainages coming down through here. Let's shift back over to terrain again so we can see the drainages that come down. And then the ocean right here, the Bay of Bengal. This has 50, 60,000 feet of sediment, where it seems a lot of this material was draining into here, trying to fill it up, making it a shallow sea. So this might have all been one event that completely changed the shape of Asia and Europe, utterly. So it looks completely different today than it might have prior to these events, if this is not a coincidence. So, just one way of looking at it, a little bit different eye. Um, who knows? Thank you.
Alright, so throughout this video, he does a lot of, I I see what he sees. He sees the scars. Start over here. When you're on this scale, you just notice something small. But just notice this off to the side is pointing this direction. There's this band up here, but there's also this is jetting out to here. There's this back down. Doesn't look, I mean, you can zoom in and you see very interesting features too, but you start zooming out and there's this river right here. It's like a dividing layer, but there's also these further patterns. You zoom out, you can kind of see there's like this band around this region, but this is like separating whatever's going on here from what's going on here. It's like a different process down here entirely. Zoom back out. But like the polarity, like he's saying, these are jumping from one to the other. These kind of branch out that way, branch out that way. Keep zooming out. And see, this is where you really start to notice. What I like about Michael Steinbacher, he talks about the wind. And that's really good because right here, you need to understand the wind itself is a redistribution of charge across our Gaussian surface. That's where we started at right down here. That's the jet off to the side, and it kind of further, give you guys an understanding where we're at. It further jets off here, and these kind of go up, but this comes over here. This comes in very distinctly here. This comes up and around. You can switch to terrain. Yeah, okay. But I like this a little better. You can kind of see like that yin and yang. But zoom out, and this is where it really gets interesting. Notice this pinch here, up here. There's another one over here somewhere. But then this all pulls in, and this all pulls in and up. And this comes right from the waters in and up. And there's that, where's that pinch? Yeah, there's the one pinch, and there's the other. And they pinch in. and carry up. This carries up and around in like a lobe, and then jets, all this jets in here into a focus. There's that pinch is carried on, and this frequency is coming up here and carrying charge. Zoom out. See, this is really where you start to notice what I'm going to come over here. What am I looking at over here? This is what I call the dragon. This is like Bruce Lee level of trying to understand the earth. Because when you look over here, this looks so gnarly and trying to understand what's going on, but it starts to look very cohesive when you look at these patterns. It's almost like it's archaic. It looks like a dragon. Only this isn't over here. But let's zoom out. This stuff is really, really gnarly. But when you see this, there's this band over here. Now, he was saying drainage. And I think it might be, what I'm thinking is happening is the waters are being pulled in. Charge needs to come in. That's what's happening. It's a redistribution of charge, but some of these charges are pulling like actual matter along with it. It's not just electricity at this point. They're just like ripping. They need free electrons at a mass scale here. Like all this comes right in here to this pinch. And this right here is a Z pinch in my eyes. And it comes back here. There's two currents. When he starts talking about these wrapping over, there's like a pair. One of them's more influencing the water, and the other is like influencing the land up here. And see, this is really where you notice the scale, and you do when he switches to terrain, you see like there's this lobe, a lobe. I'm obviously going to have to make more, but right here, this is very interesting, and this is what I need to talk about in the redistribution of charge, because right here, you're going to start seeing some very interesting patterns jump out, and I'm going to try and explain what's going on while we continue to scroll around the earth and explain what is going on to create these features at such large a scale. So, thank you, Michael Steinbacher, for seeing this so somebody can understand what the heck happened here. Alright, I'll continue to make more. Thank you, everyone. Please be patient. This is a lot to take in, and I will keep working in time. Alright, bye-bye.